Hi guys, this is BellDoge White here, and today we're gonna see what happens in part 2 of the story Law is Ordered. So here we go. As we all know what happened earlier, Bren got arrested cause of Tyranno's corruption. So now let's get to the present time. After Bren's arrest, he was taken into the custody. He was kept there till the day of hearing in court, which in fact was in 25 days. After 25 days, he was taken into the courtroom. He wasn't too hopeful cause he knew beating Tyranno was not possible. Currently, he had to plan properly. He knew it would take some time. In the courtroom, the proceeding began and was over in merely 30 minutes. The judge's response or verdict was that Bren was guilty and had tried defaming Tyranno, so he had to pay either 1.5 million sakis or spend 2 years in jail. Bren knew he couldn't pay that, so sadly he had to go to prison. On the way to the community prison, he saw Tyranno laughing with the judge. Bren, in cuffs, couldn't do anything. He was left disappointed, but he knew he will have to think of something, so he decided to remain calm and think of how to bring Tyranno his karma in the 2 years of his time in prison. After arriving at the prison, he was first taken to the scan room. After that, he was made to bath and then he got his inmate clothing. His personal belongings were taken, including things like his pen, money, passport, and phone. He was also made to shave his head. Once he completed all this stuff, he was freed of his cuffs and thrown in prison. On his first day, it was very hard for him. Not only was he missing the free air in the open, he was also missing his dignity. He knew people who went to prison don't get respected, and he was wrongfully convicted, so he knew getting the belief and respect of outside world won't be easy. Then he thought it would be better if he focuses on his surroundings right now, cause it is better to stay in present and think about future when you are in right present sense. After a week, he was getting used to the surroundings. His routine was like this. He had to wake up at 6 sharp in morning. After that, a cold water bath and then get his breakfast. After that, he went to the gym and stayed there for an hour, and after that, it was lunchtime. Once lunch was done, he had to pick up some part-time work. It can be pottery, painting, etc. After work, he had an hour to spend in either library or basketball room or the garden. By 7 sharp he got his dinner, and by 8 sharp he had to sleep, and before the cells were locked for the inmates, they got paid 5 minutes before sleep time for the work they had done in part time. They can use this money to buy cafeteria special or could also do something shady. Who knew what they could do with their money? For all everyone know, they spend it however they like. After a month, he was seeing all kinds of people from very heinous crimes to innocent people. He decided to hang out with the persons who were convicted like him. He found someone. His name was Petro. He found out that he was arrested for stealing on Tyranno's project. He said that he was wrongfully arrested and he didn't steal anything, but Tyranno bought off the evidence and he was sentenced to 5 years of prison. He was currently in his fourth year and had 2 years left. After Brent told his story and his sentence, Petro was excited to find someone of his own kind. 3 months passed and their bond was pretty strong. They did gym together and were sharing food in the cafeteria. But most importantly, both wanted justice and were planning to take down Tyranno in the library. They shared ideas and were trying to be as smart as possible. Cause Tyranno will easily buy the evidence, so they had to be the evidence themselves. They had to rely upon them instead of the people. They knew it would take more than two people to pull off something like this. They exchanged ideas and kept waiting to find someone. 6 months later, they hadn't found anyone. They were losing hope, cause they knew two people weren't enough. It would need to be a big gang. One random day, a riot broke out and a lot of property got damaged. The cells got reshuffled, and Petro and Bren luckily got cells quite close. In the new cell, a new prisoner was coming in. He was also thought to be innocent, who got trapped by the corrupted people. On the day of his arrival, Bren and Petro were thinking if they could talk him into joining their gang. On his arrival, The gate opened and there was a 7 feet guy who had insane muscles and was quite shy. Every prisoner was in awe of his body and from afar, but Bren and Petro weren't seeing his face quite clearly and were thinking who this guy was. Will he be a helpful friend or a devilish foe? They were left in the mud. They had to wait for him to do the mandatory stuffs before coming to his cell. They kept waiting, and when that guy arrived in the cell, they went to find out who he was. Who is the new inmate? Will he be a friend or a foe? Will he help them in planning or expose them? Find out in part 3 of the story Law is Ordered. So, guys, that was the whole story over there. And if you have liked it, please leave a comment and share your thoughts on how you like the story progressing. And now, let's get to some explaining. So, as you all know, this is the part 2 of the story Law is Ordered. And this time it was what the 6 months of prison Tirano and the new people he found have done. So the first thing that was happening in the part two was that he got sentenced to 2 years of prison because he could not pay 1.5 million worth of sakis because he was poor. And the courtroom proceeding got over in merely 30 minutes. So it was very clear that Tirano bought off the judge, and on his way to prison, he saw Tirano and the judge laughing together. But he was in handcuffs. He could not do anything. He just had to think and plan about the future, and he had to be in the right sense. Upon reaching the prison, he was made to do the mandatory stuffs like getting his scan so that it becomes clear that he's not carrying anything hazardous. And after that he was given his prisoner's clothes, and after that his personal belongings were taken away and he was made to shave his head. After that he went to prison, and in prison his first few days were not easy. He had been missing the open air of the world, and he knew he had lost a lot of respect because he going to prison is not a good thing. And after some times he was starting to find out that there were people all from all kinds of places who had done various crimes, from very heinous to people who were wrongfully convicted. And he decided to stay with people or hang out with people who were convicted like him. So after some time he found out a person named Petro. He was also wrongfully convicted or framed by Tirano, and he also had 2 years left on his prison sentence, and Bren also had 2 years left. So they decided to plan together to take Tyranno down. But they knew it would not be easy for them to take him down on their own. So they decided to exchange ideas and form a gang. And after 6 months, there was a huge riot that broke out in prison, and a lot of property got damaged. After that, the prisoners were made to go to new cells, and luckily Bren and Petro got cells quite close. And after that, the new prisoner that was coming in cell that was relocated, he was actually very close to Bren and Petro, so they were happily thinking that he could their team or their gang so that they could take down Tyranno, but they did not know who this guy was. Upon his arrival, they just saw a 7 foot muscular guy who was quite shy, and he had to do the mandatory stuff. They kept waiting, and after some time, he arrived in his cell. And when they went to find out who he was, they did. But who that person was and who is the guy, or will he help him or he will expose them, you guys will have to wait for the part 3 of the story Law is Ordered to find that out. So thank you all guys for hearing this story, and thank you all for watching. I would like to thank you guys for coming here all the time for all of our videos and shorts. And if you have enjoyed this story, please leave a comment and like this video, and please share it as much as possible because this is our own story. So thank you all again, and goodbye, and BellDoge GYT.